Amazing. Thank you. So, what we're going to cover today is a little bit about the Cadet to Volunteer program itself, what some of the benefits are for your cadets, what some of the benefits are for you as unit and district appointees, and then what some of the support that can be given at unit level to help make this process as easy and valuable as possible for the cadets. And then, if any of you are interested in becoming a C2V instructor, some information about how you can do that as well. So I'll start off with a bit of information about what it is that has changed and what it is we had previously. So for those of you who were involved or knew about the C2V program in the past, the previous version of this was developed during the COVID times and was designed with virtual delivery in a situation where people weren't necessarily having that senior cadet development piece happening at the time. And so what we took from that in terms of lots of feedback from volunteers and people that had been through it was that actually what cadets wanted was the toolkit that would allow them to be able to be really successful when they become a volunteer. The key element of that had been really successful in the previous version of it was talking around those safeguarding elements and how you experience that position of, oh, I'm 17, I'm one of the cadets, this person's my instructor, to actually, I'm now an adult, changing over straight away and feeling like there wasn't necessarily a run up to that and a lot of support to what that looks like, how to interact with people, what that process should be. So that was one of the key elements that wanted to be included. And then the other element was actually, if we're going to have this process for cadet to volunteer, we need to make sure that it allows for the admin of moving from a cadet to a volunteer to be much easier for both the cadet and for the UTO or CO or whoever's doing the administration in the unit. So those were the key elements for which we looked at when we were trying to build it to make sure that it was not taking huge amounts of extra time for delivery, that it was providing space learning that people would be able to do in their own time, and that it was providing actual benefits and speeding up that process for both units and for cadets. Hopefully that makes sense. So this is what the current cadet to volunteer pathway looks like. Don't worry about zooming in too much. I will go through it as it's on there, and it is available on the TNA. I'll show you that where it is in a second. So what we want is for cadets to start thinking about this as a process is around the age of 16. You can start to look at those CTP and CTS modules that are the RPLE modules for adult core modules. We have obviously in the Able Cadet syllabus a module on your senior cadet pathway and what it is you want to do as a senior cadet, because we know that everyone's experiences at that level are different, the responsibilities are different, what you are able to give up time for when it comes to things like A levels, GCSEs, apprenticeships, whatever it might be, is very varied depending on which cadet it is. Then at 17, you can start to book on to the next C2V program sessions, which will be available to see on Westminster and obviously on Cadet Portal. And then start looking at the in-unit supportive activities that can be done alongside that. And then that course is delivered over 6 virtual sessions. It's delivered by a national team so that you're not having to deliver that in unit, and also so that they can get to talk to cadets from all over the UK and share experiences in different areas, different districts, so that they get a sense that it's not just them that are experiencing this process. And then at 17 and a half, you can then arrange the adult volunteer interview with the CO, discuss the volunteer pathway, start to do that DBS process earlier than it previously was. And then when you're 18, you can then choose uniformed and non-uniformed. I will go through what some of the things that have changed in terms of that process in a minute. So we want to make sure that we're not disadvantaging those people who joined cadets later or weren't able to go through that full progression piece, because previously a lot of this work was done just with our petty officer cadets or our leading cadets. So for those people who are moving through the advancement process all the way through to petty officer cadet, there is the new petty officer cadet syllabus, which hopefully you have seen, which is designed to be both supported with instructors, but also that it can be delivered and facilitated by the cadets themselves. So it's designed so that it's activities and projects and tasks that you can do in the unit to support, so that you're still getting development, but it's also going to benefit the unit as a POC. You should be giving back to your unit. And so as part of that, you can then complete your POC syllabus alongside, and it should fit nicely with the cadet to volunteer syllabus that will be online. If you are a cadet that maybe joined at age 14 and hasn't had a chance to get through all of that rank structure at the moment, what we would say for COs, UTOs amongst us, looking at those modules within the CTP and the CTS that are RPLE for those core modules when they become a volunteer as the priority. It's so that they can complete, for example, their peer ed, their leadership and teamwork modules, their seamanship modules, their drill modules, so that they can move up and get that RPLE process when they become a volunteer. So going on a sort of a fast-tracked pathway through those specific modules. And then they can still attend. They don't need to be PhD. They can still attend to do that C2V process. And I'll show you in a second, but there's selected Petty Officer Cadet modules that they should complete in between so that they can get that experience of being a volunteer ready to move up and step up to that role. Hopefully that makes sense. So the actual program itself is 6 core sessions, which are delivered nationally over the course of 6 months. It's designed to be delivered to cadets who are over 17, but it doesn't matter if they are going to age out through that process, because it's still useful to complete some of these when you become 18, and also it's that sharing of ideas between the cadets. And obviously there will be 2 instructors on there to support who are both fully DBS and safeguarding, all of that kind of stuff. So the first one of these is about the roles and responsibilities of a volunteer. This is talking about what it is you will do, what the responsibilities are, what it is that happens in sort of the general life of a volunteer, and what the different potential roles are that you might come across. Because for a lot of cadets, they will have had lots of interaction with their instructors, but maybe not with the unit admin or stores officer or whatever the other roles might be, the UMT members. So it's the different roles and responsibilities that we have, also looking at what they might be interested in doing in the future. The second one, which is the one which was really requested with a lot of specific detail from the cadets, is the safeguarding module. And this is focusing on, as we spoke about before, what it means to move between being a 17-year-old and being an 18-year-old, and one day the people who were cadets with you are now cadets who you're an instructor of, and putting into place a discussion about what's going to be best for each of the cadets in their situation. Because we know that some people, end of being 17, they feel fully confident and the unit is fully prepared and they are happy to move into that instructor role. But for a lot of cadets, actually, that switching over straight away might not be the right thing for them. It might be that they go to another unit nearby for a few months and then come back. It might be that they take a bit of time away so that they can make sure that they come back with a volunteer head on. So it's talking about what the different opportunities are, but then also looking at the actual safeguarding specifics of what do you do if you're in a WhatsApp group? What do you do if you're in a relationship? All of those kinds of questions that lots of cadets have, but don't necessarily have a chance to ask to someone who's got that understanding. Then the third module is what we call an action learning set. Some of you might have heard of that concept before. The idea with this is that it's bringing some questions, concerns, things that you are struggling with or problems that you think you might be having to the group, and the group, from their own combined experiences, help to solve the problem, rather than it being, I'm going to ask Robert, for example, what do I do with this situation? And Robert tells you his answer for what you should do. It's solving it together so they can use their combined experiences, and it also helps with problem solving. So it's them actually thinking about, how do I solve this problem for myself, rather than I've got a problem, I'm going to tell an adult, the adult is going to solve it for me. C2VO4 is about challenging situations. So this is obviously a lot of cadets come come in, become volunteers, and then they are used to being the most senior cadet, and then they become the least senior volunteer. And this is about how to have those conversations with people who are more experienced than you, and how to make sure that, for example, if you notice something, because a lot of our cadets will be experts in a lot of different subjects, if you notice something that, for example, isn't safe, how do you challenge that in an effective, supportive way, using the right language, making sure that you're heard, but not in a rude way, essentially, and what it is that we give to our unit teams and to our district teams as part of the unit, and leading your secret unit and the district leadership and management training that talks about exactly this. And then CTV05 is about building your toolkit. So this is lots of different elements about what it is that can support you in terms of knowledge, skills, and attitudes in order to be a really successful volunteer when you do move into that process. And then the last one is, as they are about to be aging out, or some of them might have aged out, a final action learning set where they can bring in issues, problems, concerns, and then talk about them as a whole group. Hopefully that makes sense. Any questions so far? No? Lovely. And then, as you hopefully will have seen in the Sergeant and the Petty Officer Cadet syllabus, there are 15 modules that are included within this, and they are separated out into the different C2V modules so that you can utilize the timings of those C2V modules and then complete some of these activities in between those sessions that they do. So these are things like creating your own personal development plan so that it actually you have that really clear development plan for what you're going to do as a senior cadet, shadowing in unit volunteer roles, meeting your CO, how to use program online, how to create a session, how to plan a leadership task, how to lead a cadet voice meeting, all of those kind of skills that were really useful as a young volunteer coming in and being able to give back to the unit when you become a volunteer. In terms of benefits for cadets, alongside what they actually do as part of the course, they will, if they do the C2V, they get access to complete the disclosure check for their DBSs or their PVGs up to 6 months before they turn 18. So this is a change. So if you have any cadets that are going through this process, if they're doing C2V, they will get access to that, and you can apply for their DBS 6 months before they turn 18. The adult induction module gets signed off, so you don't have to do anything with that. It gets signed off as part of the C2V process. So does the safeguarding virtual live, so they don't have to do those when they turn 18. They also get early access to the DLE. They get when they become enrolled to C2V, they also get enrolled directly onto the volunteer portal and the DLE, so they can complete all of those mandatory onboarding modules before they turn 18, so they don't have to be thinking about that in their process of starting their volunteering life. So that's their safeguarding, the EDI, health and safety, responsible for information. Those ones they can complete beforehand, and they get awarded as adult modules straight away. They also can be awarded their adult core modules. So as opposed to what has previously happened, where if you had, for example, completed all of your peer ed modules, those wouldn't transfer over as working with young people. When they became a volunteer, you in the unit would have to do some of that work in terms of actually putting that in place with our PLE. That will happen now through the process of C2V. So if they have those modules when they're doing C2V, they will be awarded working with young people. If they have their seamanship qualifications, for example, they will be awarded the core module of seamanship. So you won't have to do that work as unit management team, which hopefully is a positive. And then as I said, yes, so you don't necessarily need to be a POC in order to complete these modules. So you can get these qualifications to be an adult volunteer without having to be a petty officer cadet. Any questions on that before I go on to how you can support?
Hi, Sam.
Yes.
You said there, say, because they're doing the safeguarding bit as part of the CTV, they're signed off to safeguarding live.
Yes.
What about the DLE safeguarding? Have they
They
still got
still
to
need
do
to do
that?
the, yes, they still need to do the DLE safeguarding module.
So they're doing it in a reverse order of what everybody else does, almost. They're doing the
Yes,
live before the
sort of.
DLE as well.
Yes, yes, because they will have experience of being in Sea Cadets. So it's talking about their specific case, and then they're looking at what all the volunteers get in terms of the that context specific scenario
Yeah.
pieces.
Right. Just want to check. Okay, thanks.
Anything else before I move on to the next bit?
Uh, just to add in, they'll also get access to the DLE, so it is still going through the pilot stage, so we're ironing out the creases, but they will get access to the DLE from signing up to the course or being accepted onto the course, so they can get ahead and get that module done before they actually attend the live session if they wish.
Yeah. Um, Lovely. In terms of how you can support your senior cadets, I think really useful to making sure that you have those conversations as early as possible with your cadets about whether they would be interested in becoming a volunteer in the future, and then looking at it as a pathway that they can complete as part of their senior cadet pathway. So in the same way as we talk about the petty officer cadet pathway or instructorship pathways, actually there's a lot of steps in here that don't just provide for you as a volunteer, but also provide other transferable skills that you can gain as well. Um, and then communicating with those people who join later as they're going through that process to say, actually, it would be useful for you to come and join the able cadets as they're doing their leadership and teamwork modules at the moment, or it'd be useful for you to come and join the leading cadet modules as they're doing these modules, because those are the most important as they come up to the age of 18, that they have completed those, because those are going to be the key ones to get them their qualifications. Also, I know that a lot of petty officer cadets in units and a lot of those senior cadets are invaluable as a resource to support with delivery and supporting in instruction with younger cadets. Um, but where possible, making sure that there is a plan for I'm going to be instructing this week, but this week I'm going to be doing my petty officer cadet or my C2V modules, and giving them time to be able to, if you know they've got a C2V module that week, they can complete that in the unit potentially, come into the unit, do it alongside the sessions, and then come and join in with colours at the beginning and end of the night, or allowing them the night to do it at home. And then trying to make sure that we will communicate out to you as they're doing these modules, but we will be telling them that they can do that disclosure check and those volunteer interviews earlier. So if they come to you and say, I've been told that I can do my volunteer interview and disclosure checks, just being like, yes, absolutely, let's get that booked in and get that done. And then the volunteer application form completed at the end. That's the bit that they need to do when they turn 18. But all of that other stuff will be in place, so that can be processed really quickly. And then, as I mentioned, completing those RPLE modules with the cadets, regardless of the rank that they're currently in. Robert, do you want to talk a bit about what units will get at the beginning of the process, in terms of what communication happens to cadets, what happens to volunteers?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the start, when they're accepted, first of all, they need to kind of take ownership of that place. Through the pilot, what we've discovered is that they've not all been committed or in a position that they can join on all of the sessions that are scheduled. So what they need to do, just like a volunteer would be expected to do, is to respond to the email that comes out. Um, as a CO, they're copied into that alongside their next of kin. And all we ask is that they complete that full reply chain just so that everyone's in the know. But even if they don't, I'll always copy in the unit and any communications that you need to see just so that you know what's happening. On that will be the joining instructions and also sort of a kit list, so what they would need to be able to join the sessions and get the most out of it. So they need to turn up themselves, obviously, but they also need to bring along a second device and access to their volunteer portal, sorry, the Sea Cadet portal, and that sort of thing. So rather than them scrambling during the session, they can hopefully come so that they're prepared. The sessions have all been designed to be delivered virtually as well as face to face. So once we do manage to pass it down to district level, then it means that it can be ran dependent on the locals' needs as well. So you can tailor the way that the communication goes out, whoever's leading that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to run it. We want to run as much as possible nationally, so it takes away from extra instructor delivery needs. Because I know that lots of volunteers have lots of different things that you're instructing at the moment, but we don't want to take away the opportunity if you, as a district or even as a unit, have a big enough group and people who want to be instructors, that you can deliver that face to face. There's absolutely no problem with that at all. But we want to make sure that we're taking as much of that away, and also providing cadets with that opportunity to speak to other cadets from all over the UK who they might not have been able to get in contact with before. Any other questions on that before I?
Just a quick one, please.
Yes, John.
The working with young people, is that an add-on, and at what point does it tag itself along?
So they need to complete. It might be better passing over to Robert for this, but they need to complete peer ed in order to get that. So once they've completed peer ed,
Right.
previously you would have had to have put in that RPLE request so that they would get working with young people awarded. The person who's running the C2V course will award working with young people if they have that peer ed qualification in Westminster. So you won't need to do that. That will be added for them. So when they become a volunteer, it will already be on their record. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Clive.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Couple of points on what you've discussed so far. Just now mentioned when and if we pass it down to districts to deliver. What will be the requirement for district volunteers to deliver this?
They will need to be a qualified C2V instructor on Westminster.
Right, and they gain that how?
They are being delivered at the moment. So there are 21 qualified instructors at the moment. Is that right, Robert?
There is 21, and there's a couple of instructor orientations in for approval as well. So just keep your eyes peeled. You'll be able to book onto those if you're interested.
Yes, we'll be talking about how you can book onto those at the end, but they will be on Westminster and bookable for volunteers.
Okay, thanks. And if this is delivered face to face at district level, how long is it? What's the time frame to deliver the entire course?
So it's 6 sessions over 6 months. So it still should be spaced out between over that period of time. It shouldn't change the time of delivery if it's delivered face to face. So it would be over 6 evenings.
6 evenings.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And the other question I had, just going back to the buy that the cadets will get for Safeguarding Virtual Live, and excuse me if I missed it in the preamble, is the syllabus that the cadets will do identical to the syllabus that we deliver to adults now?
It's not identical. It has all of the outcomes, but it is focused contextually on the stuff that. So it was created by the safeguarding team specifically to focus on the things that they most often get from cadets who have moved from cadet to volunteer, whereas the adult one focuses a lot more on some of the things that new volunteers who have not got experience of sea cadets might experience from a safeguarding perspective. But
Okay.
all the outcomes are met in the same way.
Yeah, thanks.
Dave, I think your hand was up first.
Yeah, so I gather from what you've just said to Clive that this isn't going to be a zero to hero at district level. Each module has got to be run at a different time over a time period.
Yeah, because in between there are modules to be completed in unit level. So it's an interaction with the group, and then you go away and then you do stuff by yourself. So it's a process over the course of 6 months of learning, both through the sessions and then through what you do back at your unit.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Derek.
Changing hats to my ASO work, my young people hat. You say obviously they'll be given the shape, connect, and communicate and modules as part of it. Are they being told about the DLE apply that they must do afterwards? I know that's currently being missed a lot on the RPLE side.
Yes, they absolutely are.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks, Derek. Lovely, cool. So I will show you where to find some of the information about this in a second. But if you are interested in being a C2V instructor, obviously Clive's question brought this up a second ago. Robert, do you want to just talk a bit more about where this is going to be, how you can find it?
Yeah, absolutely. So those that are interested in becoming an instructor, they can contact their ESO. All of the areas apart from Eastern, the ESO peer educator is also responsible for C2V. Those in Eastern area, it's Bianca Parnaby that's looking after that, the training manager. You can also contact me, so if you're needing any information, I'm more than happy to answer anything. Copy on your ESO as well if you know who that is, or I can certainly signpost you to them. You can book yourself onto an orientation session, so that will be delivered virtually, a bit like this. So it'll be an interactive session where we'll be able to go through all of the session plans and the learning objectives, and hopefully allow you to go away with a toolkit to be able to then deliver. You can support and actively deliver the C2V sessions alongside an experienced instructor. So we do have a couple of courses running at the moment, and we've also got another in approval due to be scheduled for the end of March. So if any of those dates suit yourselves, we can certainly look at getting you booked on to shadow an experienced instructor so that you can dip your toe in the water, see if it's something that you do fancy and get involved with.
Perfect. So if you want to find out more information, there is the C2V page on the DNA, which has all the information about what the modules are, how cadets sign up, what the different activities are, alongside what those RPLE pieces are. So if you're looking on that, you can find the RPLE on there. Also, hopefully all of you have access to the cadet training program program guide, which you can access through. There's obviously one for the CTS as well. Within this, if you go down past new entry cadet and all that lot, you have the cadet volunteer program, which has all of the modules within there. It also has all of the RPLE in there, as the same on the Royal Marine Cadet side as well. And if you're looking for those modules and delivering them rather than having to search through programs online, you can also go directly into the Petty Officer Cadet session. It takes you directly to that session plan for the one that they're doing. You can also provide access to this to the cadets so they can look at them themselves. Sorry, there was loads of questions, loads of hands went up there. Sorry, Robert, your hand went up first.
Oh, sorry, it's not meant to be up.
Fine, that's no problem. Sean, your hand went up. I don't know whether you were talking or on mute, Sean.
Sorry, no, I keep on dropping out. I've got rubbish coverage here in my life. I didn't hear you call my name. First of all, I was going to give you a bit of feedback, just having had my kid go through the C2AV course. They really did enjoy it and they did find it useful. So at least that's an honest one, because they could have told me anything. Right. And it's not like they're going to try and suck up because I'm in the call with you. So I just thought I'd like to say thank you for that.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Thanks, Sean.
When you talked about the cadet that's not leaving cadet or PO cadet, we can kind of fast track their modules. So effectively saying that we could cherry pick them to do that, like something from a leading cadet section or a PO section. Obviously, we can't do the peer aid. They've still got to do their basic before they can do their advanced, etc. So yeah, that's kind of controlled by what courses we can get on. So I think they answered that. Are they going to have access to the volunteer portal? Because
yes,
normally you talk about giving them so you can track your own progress. You go on the volunteer portal.
Yeah, absolutely. Access to the DLE provides access to the volunteer portal, so they will have access through there. And they will also be shown how to use that in the session of the C2V. So they get shown how to access the DLE, how to access the right courses, how to look at volunteer portal and track your progress through there.
Brilliant. And the only other question I had was, when they reach the there's two actual questions. First of all, when they reach the heady heights of 18, obviously their pin changes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or whatever to a CV number. Will everything
Yes,
move over and they don't have to start re-registering and all this kind of
they
crazy stuff?
don't need to re-register, but they do need to change their account to adult volunteer, I think. Robert, correct me if I'm wrong. I think
Perfect.
is that right? Yeah, they've got to change it on the DLE, but there is as part of the volunteer onboarding with the volunteer support team know what the process is at the moment, so they will provide that to the volunteer when they change from cadet to volunteer as well.
And the only other question is just how do we, what's the unique selling point for this? Unlike a cadet just reaches 18 and then goes, okay, or 17 and 11 months and then applies for their DVS, which they're allowed to do. What's the advantage? Because obviously they could still apply through area to become a PPO as soon as their DVS clears. So I'm just thinking how we sell this to cadets to make them move forward on this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the key bits are that it allows them to become a petty officer sooner. There's a lot less they need to do over the process. They get support with how they can do that admin. It doesn't need to go through their unit teams. They don't need to be doing the requests to try and get stuff approved and sent off. But I think the key bits are that it is giving them tools. They get to meet other cadets that are in the same position, whereas a lot of units have one or two petty officer cadets, and so they don't know whether their experience is just them going through it. So they get to experience talking to cadets from all over the different units and different areas. I think that's the most valuable element of it, but it does also provide them a speed up through that process that they wouldn't get if they didn't do it.
Because they still can't become a PO until they're 17, to they're 18 and a half, can they? Same as if you've gone the traditional route.
Sorry, say that again. I didn't catch
They
that last
still
bit.
wouldn't become a full PO until they reach 18 and a half. Same as the
As in they do
traditional routes.
yes. At the moment, they would still need to. It would still be the same of they would be a PPO for that first section. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I just make sure I fully understand. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Sean. Clive.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Sam, just going back to with my training manager's hat on and having witnessed many, many times cadets attending boards, promotion boards and courses that don't have the prerequisites to attend those boards. You said this is going to be delivered over 6 months. So effectively one module every 6 months with sessions in between that must be
completed. One module every month. Yeah.
Okay, one module every month, but with sessions that need to be completed before they can move on to the next module.
No, so the sessions it's not a prereq to have done those sessions in order to attend the next session, but it's obviously we recommend that they do those because they will support the next session that they can do. But obviously, as a petty officer cadet, that's your syllabus as a petty officer cadet, so you should be working through those anyway.
Okay, thank you. And the other question is actually just born out of what I think it was Sean has just mentioned. They will remain a PPO until they're 18 and a half, which is the 6-month probation period. If this course has been delivered, or if it's been designed to be delivered over 6 months, and they complete this and they get all their prerequisites for all their core modules and everything else, why are we still insisting on 6-month probation period?
So yes, this is where it's really useful to have all of the people that are on this call. Is we want to get feedback from UTOs, COs, XOs, detachment commanders about the impact of this as we get more cadets through it before we make that decision about what's going to happen. But on that probation period of people that go through it, we don't want to take it away straight away because we know that a lot of it has been the case for a long time and it's been valuable. So we want to make sure that if we do make any changes, that is based on feedback from a larger number of cadets that go through it rather than just the pilot.
Okay.
We don't want to kind of drop them in it because as soon as they get those crowns or take off that red tape, not everyone knows that they've just transitioned from cadet to volunteers, so they might be then called upon in a position of responsibility. But yeah, absolutely, if we can reduce that barrier and remove that hoop to jump through, then certainly we can look at it in the future with feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joanne in the chat saying, how do we enroll cadets for CTV? Yes, courses are advertised. They're usually advertised on the front page of Portal. They're also advertised on Cadet Portal and through Westminster, so you can book them on directly through there. They are at the moment, because we have been running smaller numbers of courses. We'll be running more as we get more instructors through, but they're filling up quite quickly. So I would keep looking fairly regularly if you've got cadets that want to book on. And we do have waiting lists for them to try and get people onto the next courses that are available. Colette.
Hi, sorry, I just wanted to sense check. Do you know, like, what would this mean for RMC cadets? Because at the moment we're having quite a bit of difficulty getting P sergeants through to sergeants. And that's regardless of age. I just mean, from, if we have cadets transferring, to volunteer, and with just pool of volunteers in general. So I was just wondering, how is this going to help impact them? Because at the moment we've got an RMC cadet who's doing the CDV course. And, like, from when I've engaged in conversation with him, he does take quite a lot away from it. But I feel like it's not oriented enough for, like, RMT specifically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so let me just share my screen again. So again, it's in the CTS guide, but they similarly have modules that are able to be awarded as RPLE in the same way as from the blue side. So if you go into the cadet training syllabus section, you can see where they can get those modules signed off as well. So it's, exactly the same. It should be equity between the two. They obviously still need to do their FC Part 4 and their MMR Part 2, which are those practical elements for that. But the other elements they will be able to get completed in the same way.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. It just, I do feel sorry for our RMC colleagues. It's quite a long onboarding process for them, isn't it? Where I know, like, we have a bit more of a range of courses offered at us more frequently, isn't it? So I was just wondering how we could support them of achieving, that aspiration a bit quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Looking at both sides to make sure that it's effective for both.
And if we could get some more RMC colleagues as volunteers, then absolutely that's going to help with that. So any of you interested, to get in touch.
Dave, your hand's up.
Yeah, I'm just sort of trying to work out how you envisage the face-to-face sessions working. I mean, in our district, it can take an hour and a half, 2 hours for a cadet to get from A to B. And if they're only coming for one session, it just seems clunky.
Yeah, I agree. It's why we've designed it so that it's primarily delivered virtual, so that you can connect people from disparate areas as easily as possible. But we don't in terms of the face-to-face delivery, we want to make sure that we're not putting barriers in the way. If there are like 3 units that are very close together and have a big number of senior cadets, and they want to get them together and they've got a C2V instructor, we don't want to put barriers in the way to stop that from happening. But it's primarily designed to be delivered so that we can get people from all over the UK together and talking and sharing ideas.
Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Maria.
Evening. Seamanship question from me. On the training, under the training section, it says to get RPLE for the core seamanship, it only requires them to be signed off for modules 10 to 18, but the RPLE document states otherwise. So I'm a little bit confused why you would only need that select number of modules to be signed off as a cadet, but the document and for adults it has to be a qualification of at least intermediate within a certain time period of them turning 18. So
the core module is obviously designed to support delivery of the CTP syllabus. So the completion of the full CTP syllabus of seamanship if it's, then this is where the quality assurance piece of making sure that people are completing that and are confident in it. But the completion of that as a cadet should provide you with the skills to then be able to deliver that back to cadets once you've done your basic and advanced peer ed.
But why not all of the modules? Why just 10?
It is all of the modules.
Okay.
It's completion of all of the CTP modules.
Okay.
If that's not on, feel free to send me a message if that isn't communicated right in the documentation. But yes, it's completion of all of the CTP modules, not just part of it.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it should absolutely be completion of all of the CTP
Okay,
modules.
thank you.
And in terms of the C2V instructor training, I think Robert's just replied in the chat, but the next orientation is either the 16th or the 31st of March, but they are just awaiting Westminster approval, but they will appear hopefully very soon for booking on there. I think there's a hand up. I can't see who it is. Oh, Derek.
Different hat again, onboarding. What's the process from a unit? Because currently when a cadet leaves, they obviously upload the service record, etc., etc. I'm assuming that's been the skip, but is there any other changes from a unit point of view to convert them from cadet to adult?
I don't think there is anything extra that you will have to do. Robert, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, Derek, just go through the same way. Strike them off strength, convert to adult. The only difference is you can now do the PVG or the DBS from 6 months before, so you would just put in this exact same way to volunteer support to actually get that kick started.
Yes,
But
and
they don't need to upload.
previously the cadet record, obviously anything that was on that cadet record would not appear as an adult qualification. That we have now set the modules, for example, working with young people and similar, so they are now cadet and adult awardable, so it will transfer across in the cadet.
Well, the biggest things about the onboarding was people were forgetting to upload the record, which was then stopping all the references, etc.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Great. Any last questions before we finish up and give you the rest of your evening? No? Anything you'd like to add, Robert, before we finish off?
No, I think we've had a good session there, lots of good questions. Hopefully you're all intrigued to see how it pans out, and yeah, get in touch if you need us.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously all of you in your various different roles will see the impact and the effect of this. We've piloted it with a few groups now and it's been successful, but as it gets wider, getting feedback from all of you will be really, really useful to make sure it continues to develop and continues to be effective for our cadets. So as people have finished going through it and you're seeing new cadets become volunteers, as you're seeing your cadets go through it, please send us through feedback because it's really useful to make sure we can keep changing and updating. Clive.
Yeah, sorry to be a pain, Sam. Just very quickly, is this going to be socialised at the Cadet Voice conference?
I haven't been involved in the process, but I don't know whether you have, Robert.
Well, I'm going to be there, not in my capacity as NSO, but yes, we will be circulating it. Yeah, we'll
Brilliant.
be getting it out there.
Brilliant, thank you.
And there is also, hopefully you will have seen that there is a cadet version of this happening end of this week. So if you've got any cadets that you know are interested and would like to find out more, you can book them onto that. I think it's still open. I will make sure it is still open until midnight tomorrow night to book on for. So if you've got any cadets that you think will want to, feel free to book them on and let them know and they can turn up. But we'll also do a recording of that as well. Cool. Lovely. Well, thank you all very much. If you have any further questions, feel free to send them across to me anytime. Very happy to answer. But I hope you have a great evening and I will, I'm sure, see you all again soon.